stories beyond imagination.
The Vanishing of the Heirs. In the obsidian heart of the Nebrith galaxy, the Zalarian throne world pulsed with emerald skies and crystalline palaces. The alien queen, Zarthira, ruled with a voice that could bend metal and eyes that reflected the stars themselves. She had birthed two heirs, the twin sons destined to inherit her dominion across 100 worlds. But one fateful dawn, the palace chambers were silent. The royal nurseries stood empty. The guards, bred from centuries of loyalty, swore no being had entered or left. Panic spread through the citadel as the queen stormed through the corridors, her fury shaking the ground itself. With a roar that shattered glass towers, Zarthira demanded the galaxy search for her children. The future of an empire had vanished into shadow. The queen's roar was not merely a sound. It was a weapon. Across the city, lesser creatures clutched, their heads as the telepathic tremor of her rage swept outward. Fleet commanders reported in, stammering under her scrutiny. Priests of the void prophesied omens, their black robes swirling as they warned that the disappearance was no accident, but an act of cosmic rebellion. Zarthira refused to wait for visions or signs. Her command was absolute. Every ship, every spy, every assassin of her court was unleashed. Posters of the twins' glowing faces flickered across alien metropolises. Yet whispers grew louder in the void. Some said the royal heirs had been stolen not by enemies, but by fate itself, spirited away into the hands of an unknown power. Weeks passed before the first clue emerged. A fleet of scouts scouring the galactic rim intercepted faint biosignatures. Unlike anything native to the stars, they roamed. Embedded within the signal, however, were traces unmistakable, the unique heartbeats of the Queen's sons. But there was something strange. The coordinates led not to a warship, nor to a rival empire, but to a small, blue planet on the outer edge of a spiral arm. Earth. Zar. Thera herself gazed at the holographic globe, her talons digging into the throne. A primitive world, untouched by interstellar war. How could her children be there? Her fury mixed with intrigue. Perhaps this was not a theft, but a message. And if so, she would descend upon this planet herself. On Earth, the night was quiet in a rural village tucked beneath the mountains. A young woman named Alara had wandered into the woods, her lantern flickering against the dark canopy. She had discovered them, two small alien infants, their skin luminous silver, their eyes like liquid starlight. They had not cried nor fought, but nestled into her arms as though she were their mother. Days turned to weeks, and she kept them hidden, nursing them, protecting them, and marveling at their strange powers. They could summon sparks of light with their tiny hands, bend shadows, and even calm storms. Ilara felt chosen, though she did not understand why. She only knew this. The children trusted her completely, sleeping each night upon her chest, their breath syncing with her heartbeat. The sky tore open above Earth in a cascade of violet fire. Zarthira's dreadnought descended, its sheer mass eclipsing the stars. The village trembled as windows shattered and livestock scattered in terror. Ilara stood in the field, clutching the twins close to her chest as a column of light carved into the ground. The queen emerged, towering, radiant, a creature of regal fury and sorrow. Her eyes found her sons, safe and sleeping against the human's body. For a moment, her rage faltered. The roar she had carried across galaxies fell silent. Something ancient stirred in her, confusion, wonder, and a pang of fear. Why did her children cling to this fragile human instead of her? The galaxy's most feared ruler stood, frozen before the simplest truth. Her heirs had chosen another mother. The silence between them thickened, broken only by the soft breaths of the twins. Ilara's heart pounded, but she did not cower. She had no weapons, no armor, only the fierce instinct of a protector. "They are safe with me," she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. Zarthira's eyes narrowed, her crown-like horns glimmering with wrath. No human had ever dared to speak to her as an equal. Energy crackled around her as she prepared to reclaim what was hers. Yet the infants stirred, tiny fingers gripping Alara's shirt tighter. emitting a pulse of light that rippled across the field. The queen froze. That light was not mere energy, it was choice. Her sons were binding themselves to the human as if declaring her their sanctuary. The queen's fleet descended, blotting out the heavens with ships like floating cathedrals. Soldiers poured onto the earth, six-limbed warriors in obsidian armor. The villagers screamed and fled, but Elara stood her ground. Drones scanned the air, recording the scene for the entire empire to witness. To the Xylarian soldiers, this was unthinkable. Their princes, the future of their empire, refusing their own mother's call. Zarthira's rage grew. "You dare keep what is mine?" she thundered. The ground quaked. But the twins' light spread outward again, disarming weapons, bending steel, causing the soldiers to falter. For the first time in history, Xylarian warriors lowered their blades not from fear of their queen, but from reverence for the children's will. High above, in the queen's flagship, priests of the void deciphered what was unfolding. An ancient prophecy had long been whispered among the hidden archives. The heirs of the Xylarian throne will not awaken beneath their mother's gaze, but under the care of one born of soil and starless, night. The queen had dismissed such myths as weakness, yet here it was, alive before her eyes. Her sons had chosen the human not by accident, but by destiny. To deny it would be to deny the will of the cosmos itself. Still, Zarthira's pride was a mountain unyielding. She clenched her claws, torn between empire and fate, between fury and the unexplainable bond her children had formed with the fragile human below. Elara's fear melted into a strange courage. She lifted her chin, meeting the gaze of a queen who had conquered worlds. "If you love them," she said, her voice carrying across the field, "then see how they love me. I am no thief. I did not seek them. They came to me. They chose me." Her words rang like iron against stone. The queen's court gasped, stunned that such defiance could come from a mortal. But Zarthira heard more than words. She heard truth. The light of the twins pulsed brighter as if amplifying Elara's voice, forcing even the queen to listen. The empire's most fragile creature had become unbreakable, shielded by nothing but the trust of two alien children. The queen's silence ended with a gesture. She raised her claw, and a ring of soldiers surrounded Elara, their spears humming with plasma. "If you claim to protect them," Zarthira declared, "then prove it. Survive what no other human could." The soldiers closed in, their shadows swallowing the trembling grass. Elara pressed the infants tighter against her chest. Her breath shallow, yet the twins stirred again. Their tiny hands spread outward, and a dome of shimmering starlight bloomed around her, repelling every weapon. The soldiers' strikes dissolved into sparks. Gasps echoed across the battlefield. The queen's eyes widened, not with fury this time, but with something she had never admitted she possessed: awe. Perhaps the human was not merely a guardian. Perhaps she was part of a larger design. From the flagship orbiting above, the High Council of the Xylarian Empire watched the spectacle unfold. Holographic feeds projected, Elara and the twins glowing within their dome of light. Generals demanded that the queen reclaim her heirs by force, fearing the empire's stability was crumbling. Others whispered that perhaps destiny was guiding them toward something greater. The priest reminded Zarthira of the prophecy, warning that if she defied cosmic will, her reign would collapse in flames. Yet pride still thundered within her chest. Could a human really hold what the queen herself could not? She turned her gaze back toward Elara, searching for weakness. Instead, she saw the twins sleeping peacefully, unafraid of armies or gods, secure only in the heartbeat of the woman holding them. Zarthira commanded a new test. She summoned firestorms from the sky, summoning meteors with a gesture of her claw. The heavens ignited, raining molten rock toward Elara. Villagers fled in terror, but the young woman did not run. She shielded the infants with her body, bracing for death. Then, impossibly, the twins awakened. Their silver eyes glowed, and the meteors froze mid-air, suspended like lanterns in the night. Slowly, they dissolved into stardust, raining down harmlessly upon the earth. The villagers fell to their knees, whispering prayers to beings they could not name. Zarthira's breath caught. Her sons had not yet spoken a word, but their power answered louder than any decree. And it was Elara's presence that stirred that power awake. For the first time in centuries, Zarthira remembered. She recalled the day, Her own mother cast her into the fire pits of Xylaris to prove her worth. She had clawed her way out, forged by pain, hardened by trials, stripped of softness. Love had no place in her empire. Her children were to inherit her strength, not weakness. Yet as she looked at them cradled in Alara's arms, she wondered if she had mistaken tenderness for frailty. Perhaps her empire had been blind all along. Perhaps love itself was the strongest weapon. The thought unsettled her, as if the very foundations of her crown cracked under the weight of truth. Still the queen clenched her fists, refusing to yield so easily. That night, as the fleet hovered above the earth, the twins stirred from their slumber. Their tiny voices whispered in unison, but not in words of any known tongue. Instead, images poured into every mind present. Soldiers, villagers, priests, even the queen herself. They saw visions of two futures. In one, Zarthira ripped her children away, and galaxies burned as war consumed everything. In the other, the twins remained with Alara, and a bridge formed between humans and Xylarian kind, a future where two species rose together, stronger than apart. The visions faded, leaving silence so heavy it crushed every argument. Even the queen's breath trembled as she realized her sons had spoken, and their word was law. Alara stepped forward, the infants glowing in her arms. Her voice was steady, though her body shook from exhaustion. "I do not want your throne. I do not want your empire. I only want them safe." Her words carried across the battlefield, sinking into every heart. "If you take them by force, you will destroy them. But if you let them choose, you will gain something. Greater than a crown, you will gain peace." The silence stretched. Soldiers lowered their weapons. Villagers dared to breathe again, and even the wind seemed to pause. The queen's golden eyes burned. But not with rage, with the torment of a ruler who had never once been asked to listen, yet now could not deny the truth before her. But peace was fragile. Among the queen's council lurked whispers of treachery. A general named Vanar, ambitious and cruel, had no patience for prophecy. He rallied a faction of soldiers, insisting the human was a curse, a weakness meant to shatter the empire. That night, under the veil of darkness, he moved to strike. Dozens of soldiers descended upon the village, their blades gleaming, intent on seizing the twins and killing Alara. But the children awakened again, and their cries shook the night sky. Stars flickered, shadows writhed, and every attacker collapsed as if the cosmos itself had crushed them. When dawn came, only silence remained. Alara wept, realizing the children's powers were both wondrous and terrifying, and that enemies would never stop hunting them. The queen did not depart immediately. Her fleet remained in Earth's orbit, establishing silent watch over the human village. Priests and scientists came to study the strange world, baffled by its primitive technology, yet charmed by its resilience. Villagers, once terrified, now lived beneath the shadow of alien ships, torn between awe and dread. Alara continued to raise the twins in secret, though she could feel unseen eyes always upon her. Sometimes in the dead of night, she would look to the skies and see Zarthira watching, her silhouette like a dark goddess framed by stars. They were enemies, allies, and something neither fully understood. A fragile thread connected them now, woven not by war, but by the innocent breaths of two alien children. Years passed in secret. The twins grew swiftly, their bodies infused with energies beyond comprehension. They learned to walk beneath the human sky, their feet touching soil, their hands touching light. Alara taught them kindness, stories, and laughter. But when they dreamed in galaxies, visions of distant wars and endless stars. Sometimes Zarthira herself appeared, demanding they learn strength, discipline, and the ways of the Empire. Torn between two worlds, the twins became bridges of both. They loved Alara as mother and Zarthira as blood, each bond shaping them differently. And though they were children still, every whisper of their power hinted at destiny far greater than either. Woman could imagine, but not all Xylarians accepted peace. General Vanar, though defeated, was not destroyed. From the edges of the Empire, he gathered exiles, mercenaries, and rival warlords. He spoke of weakness, of a queen corrupted by prophecy and a human contaminating their bloodline. His army grew in silence, preparing for the day they would strike, not against Earth, but against Zarthira herself. Spies carried word of this rebellion back to the queen. Rage burned in her, but so too did fear. She could crush Vaynar's fleet easily, yet if she moved openly, she might shatter the fragile trust between her and her sons. She needed something more, something only Alara could give. For the first time, the queen turned not to generals, but to the human she once threatened. Zarthira descended again, this time not in fury but in solemn purpose. She stood before Alara, her voice stripped of thunder. "War is coming. They will use the children to break me. If you want them safe, you must stand with me." Alara trembled, torn between fear and duty. She had raised the twins to love peace, not war. Yet she knew the rebellion would not spare them. Slowly she nodded. For the first time, human and alien queen clasped hands, their bond sealed not by trust but by necessity. The twins watched, their silver eyes glowing, sensing the weight of the moment. For the first time, they smiled not as children, but as heirs who understood destiny awaited them. The rebellion came like fire. Vaynar's fleet poured from the void, dark ships bristling with weapons designed to kill gods. Earth trembled beneath the storm. Zarthira roared, her voice rallying soldiers who once doubted her. Alara stood at her side, clutching the twins as their light flared brighter than the sun. When Vaynar descended, snarling of purity and strength, it was not the queen who answered, but the children. Their power erupted in waves, dissolving ships, silencing armies, reshaping the very space around them. In the chaos, Alara whispered to them, grounding them with the only thing stronger than war, love. The rebellion broke, consumed not by fire or blade, but by the unity of mother, queen, and heirs bound together by fate. When the smoke cleared, silence fell across the stars. Vaynar's fleet was no more. The queen stood bloodied but unbowed, her empire intact, her children stronger than ever. Yet victory carried its price. Earth lay scarred, villages ruined, skies scorched. Alara wept for what had been lost. But Zarthira placed a claw upon her shoulder, not in dominance, but in something resembling comfort. For the first time, the queen saw humanity's fragility not as weakness, but as strength. They endured even when the cosmos itself tried to crush them. And in that endurance, her sons had found their true inheritance. Not power, but compassion. The empire would never be the same again. Years later, legends spread across both Earth and the Xylarian Empire. Stories of the queen's vanished heirs, the human who raised them, and the war that reshaped galaxies were told in whispers and songs. The twins grew into leaders unlike any the universe had seen, part human, part Xylarian, embodying the best of both. They carried within them the fire of their mothers, strength and the tenderness of Alara's love. No crown could contain them, no prophecy could bind them. They were bridges between worlds, destined to guide both species into an era of unity. And though war might return one day, the galaxy would remember. Peace had been born from the embrace of a human and the roar of an alien queen. On the night of their ascension, beneath skies filled with stars and ships alike, the twins stood between their two mothers. One was a queen forged by fire, the other a woman of soil and sky. Both had claimed them, both had shaped them. Yet the children chose not between them, but with them. They declared Earth and Xylaris as one future, not two. The crowd roared, galaxies trembled, and even the cosmos seemed to bow. Zarthira's eyes gleamed with tears she would never name, while Alara simply held their hands, proud and quiet. For the first time in history, empire and humanity stood united. And so it was remembered across eternity. The day the alien queen roared in fury, yet found salvation in the arms of a human. Zarthira stood at the edge of the battlefield, gazing down at the human woman who refused to bow. Pride and love waged war within her. She could end Alara with a gesture, reclaim her sons, and silence the prophecy forever. Yet deep inside, she feared the vision the twins had shared. The empire might crumble not because of Alara, but because of the queen's refusal to evolve. For the first time in her reign, Zarthira hesitated. The roar that once commanded galaxies became a whisper. Finally, she spoke. "Then prove you are worthy. Raise them, protect them, and know this, if they ever suffer under your care, I will burn this planet to ash," her words thundered. but they carried the weight of reluctant surrender.